Our demand bullshit. Before we even go there, I want to invite you to imagine a world in which we're all committed to win-win situations. What if we all committed to staying with the process until it was a win-win? It's hard to imagine sometimes from our frame of reference where we're fighting for limited resources. But what if we all cultivated the capacity in the small things and the biggest of things to come up with a way that is meeting the most, and everybody's needs are on the table, considered and held, and we create strategies that are meeting everyone's needs to the extent that we can. That getting my needs met never has to be at the expense of you getting your needs met. That's the visionary level of what is possible when we start to unpack our demand bullshit and understand the dynamics that work in it and start to cultivate new capacities for establishing connection and creating agreements from that place of connection that are concrete and doable and trackable. But what we've inherited is a cultural norm of demand bullshit. I'm going to get what I want to get. If you don't already want to give it to me, then I'm going to use some kind of threat, I'm going to use some kind of force, or I'm going to use some kind of emotional manipulation to get you to give me what I want. Right? So demand bullshit is essentially getting somebody to give you what you want even though they don't want to give it to you. Right? The best way to know whether you're demanding something of somebody is to notice what happens when they say no. Do you go into trying to campaign or convince? Do you go into subtle sort of threats? Do you withdraw? Do you withhold love? What do you do? Or do you stay with the connection and get curious? Because what happens when we make a demand of anybody is we push them into a binary response system. On the one hand, we make a demand of somebody and they can submit to our demand. Somebody makes a demand of us and we can submit to that demand, right? Why would we submit to that demand? Often it's fear of consequences of not submitting, right? When we submit to demands, when somebody submits to a demand, maybe they're attempting to meet needs for harmony and for cooperation. Maybe they're trying to meet needs for belonging. But they're often deprioritizing their needs for authenticity, integrity, and dignity, right? Choice. So we can get what we want from people by demanding. How many of you have ever gotten what you wanted from somebody by making demands? By threatening in some way, explicitly or subtly, right? Here's the thing though. When we get what we want from somebody through a demand, we are borrowing from the connection we have with that person at a high APR, at a high interest rate. Whatever we get from them through the form of demand and submission is going to have collateral impact on our relationship, on our connection. It's going to diminish the fabric of trust. It's going to diminish the fabric of mutuality. It's going to diminish our connection. So you can get the thing, but you are doing it at the cost of the relationship. It's an unsustainable program. So that's one side of the binary. On the other side of the binary, people can rebel and get out their fuck you guns. Be like, hell no, I'm not doing what you're telling me to do. That's demand. And they're going to prioritize their needs for authenticity, for choice and autonomy, for dignity, to some extent at the cost of connection. right? In both of these scenarios, connection is impoverished in some way. Every human being values their sovereignty. Raise your hand if you like to be an autonomous being making choices for yourself, right? We all value that tremendously. It's one of our core needs and values. When that gets stepped on, when that feels threatened, we're going to make sure and defend it. Eventually. The submit program is going to pop over into a rebel again eventually. And the weirdest thing is that we love to give. We love to give as human beings. When I can give you something that I know contributes to your needs getting met, Cressel, in a way that also meets my needs, then I have these beautiful endorphins that release in my body, and I feel so good. My sense of belonging. We are social animals, right? It feels good. People sacrifice a lot authentically to give to people that they care about, right? And it can be nourishing, right? There are some people who do it in unsustainable ways. We all know those people. Some of us have been those people. And there's something beautiful about giving. And what I think is incredible is how easy it is to interrupt the natural human impulse to give. You see babies and children, like sometimes they just want to do their thing, but they can also be just so generous, just intrinsically. And they lack empathy completely. It just comes naturally. It's the giving impulse. It's not even about the other person. It's about the giving impulse, right? We have this intrinsic desire to give, this intrinsic joy in giving. And so if it's Amir's birthday and he's full on paleo, then I'm going to make sure, and I want to make him a cake. I want to make something that he really loves. So I'm going to get the recipe all together, and I've never made a paleo cake before, so I bake it, and the first one just comes out horrible, and I'm like, I can't give this to Amir, so I'm going to try it again. So that night I stay up until like midnight and I bake him this beautiful cake, right? And I'm so excited, and I have this paleo cake that I'm so proud of, and I'm bringing it to Amir. I'm like walking up to him, and he looks at me and he says, "What the fuck is taking so long? Give me the cake already." Right? And what do I want to do with this cake in that moment? I just want to shove it up his ass, right? I want to just punt it. I want to punt the cake at that moment, right? All of this joy, all of this passion, all this love went into this thing. All he has to do is demand the thing of me that I already want to give him. I already want to give it to him. And he takes away, in that moment, my joy in giving. And my rebel has to come out to protect my identity and dignity by saying, fuck that. Right? That's how extreme, that's how sensitive we are as beings. That's how extreme we have to understand the dynamics of demand in our lives. Because whether it's explicit or whether it's subtle, to the extent that I'm demanding something from somebody else, expecting them to give it to me without full respect for their autonomy and what they actually want and what would meet their needs, some part of them has to rebel against me. And I'm making it harder for myself to get what I want, and I'm making it harder for them to give me what they might already want to give me in a world where I'm open and asking and inviting. Because as sovereign as we are as beings, we are almost continually getting our needs met interdependently, continually leaning into other people, collaborating, asking for what we need. And so it's critical that we get a hold of this dynamic, this polarity in our lives. The good fortune we have is that it's not just two possible responses to demand energy. It's one thing to get a hold of our own demand energy, right? And cultivate our capacity to connect with our needs, invite people to contribute to our needs in very concrete and specific ways through doable requests. It's another thing to be met with a demand and have the clarity and capacity to not go into the binary submit rebel, but to find the middle path. of empathy and honesty. Oh, it sounds like you really want that. Sounds like that would really meet your needs for blank. When I hear that, I feel some resistance because I'm really needing this right now. And then we're in a conversation and we're putting our needs on the table and we're pulling them together and we're being like, oh. And as long as I care about your needs and I know you care about my needs, then we're going to figure it out. We're going to find a way to work it out. Because every time we say no to somebody's request or demand, we're saying yes to something inside of ourselves. We're saying yes to some precious universal human needs within ourselves that take priority in that moment. Sometimes all we're actually saying yes to is our autonomy, right? And if we knew that our autonomy was respected, we could say yes. It wouldn't, on balance, fail to meet other needs for us to say yes. It's when our autonomy is threatened through a demand that we say yes to that instead of to what is being asked of us. Have integrity? Well, yeah, that's the question. Does anybody have to do any of this? Mm-hmm. Right. What are the easy ones to knock off the have to list?
Pay bills.
Pay bills? Yeah. So you don't have to pay bills, right? Nobody's making you pay your bills. Nobody's making you suffer. Nobody is making you gather knowledge or build community or have purpose. You're choosing to do these things because they meet needs of yours. And this have to shit has to stop. Because it's disempowering. And we're outsourcing the power of our lives. And we're making the world a big fucking demand on us. Instead of realizing that we're creators. And where we have tos, it feels like there's real needs at stake, right? Every demand that we submit to, we're doing it to meet needs. Because it's the best thing, the best strategy that we have in the moment available within reach that makes sense to us to meet our needs. And if you're going to say no, you're going to experience the consequences. There are going to be needs that are unmet in that no, and other needs that are going to be met on balance, right? What needs are we going to prioritize in any given situation? And I say that here because we are talking about demands, and have to is the ultimate sort of projection of demand on the world, onto the world. The world says I have to. They say I have to, right? And if you're not clear on it, then you're going to be rebelling against these things. If you're not clear on your choice, then you are going to be rebelling against them, unconsciously. You're going to be fighting yourself. So, my invitation is notice when you say have to, and replace it every single time with choose to. It's another way of making the unconscious conscious, in the vein of when you say things like, I forgot. Just try out, I unconsciously chose not to. Right? Just reinforcing that you're choosing all the time. All this stuff are just the bullseyes. They're the targets that when we're practicing in life and when we're applying, we're shooting for these targets. Are we going to hit the bullseye every time? No. But does not hitting the bullseye mean that we stop trying or shooting for the bullseye? Hopefully not. Hopefully we find enough value in the moments that we do hit the bullseye and we believe enough in the integrity of this way of operating in the world that we want to keep sucking at it until we don't, right? But they're all just bullseyes. They're not even demands themselves. They're invitations to keep pulling arrows out of the quiver and keep shooting. So if we don't want to make demands, what do we want to do? Requests and clear agreements with an invisible S. So what are some of the markers of a doable request, right? Oh, we haven't talked about vague wishes yet. So let's just talk about that. Because again, requests and clear agreements are a golden mean between demands on the one hand, the hard force, and vague wishes, unexpressed desires on the other. Collapsing around what we really want and just not expressing it, the avoidant side. The like, gosh, Cresso, I'd really like a beer right now. right? It's just like saying some wishy-washy thing instead of just saying, dude, would you grab me a beer? Right? Just asking for what you want. But asking for what we want is vulnerable. It's much more sort of habitual on the one hand and less vulnerable to campaign, to get people to want to give us what we want by campaigning for it. Wouldn't it be awesome if we had some beers right now, Cresso? Right? And so we do this unconsciously all the time. Part of it is that I don't give myself permission to want what I want. I'm doing my bullshit calculus. And I can't just own that I want it and that it would be so supportive of me if you got it for me, you know? But it's vulnerable because what could actually happen if I vulnerably ask for what I want? What could happen? They could say no. They could say no to me, to my needs. They could say no to me as a human being. And I would be worthless because they said no and I don't matter at all. Right? But what are they actually saying no to?
Yes to their needs.
Saying yes to their needs and no to my strategy. Somebody says no to my strategy, I hear them saying no to my whole being. No. Some part of me can take that as a no to my whole being when they're just like, no, I don't want to do that thing. You know? So, asking for what we want is intrinsically vulnerable. The more you get tuned in, again, this is just another flag. We just planted a little flag in demands and vague wishes. Right now you're going to notice them more than you ever have. The compulsion may be to be harder on yourself than you've ever been. And I want to disabuse you of that compulsion to the best of my abilities and say, be merciful with you as you have these new glasses to look at power dynamics with. As you look at your conditioning. You look at what you expect people to already know about what you want and provide it without ever having to ask.